The Korean Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ, is a 4-kilometer-wide strip of land that slices across the Korean peninsula, separating North and South Korea. It's not just a border, it's one of the most heavily fortified and tense places on Earth, bristling with soldiers, landmines, and watchful eyes on both sides. But for decades, the DMZ's most surreal feature wasn't a weapon or a wall, but a massive array of loudspeakers. These speakers blasted everything from catchy K-pop tunes and South Korean news to government propaganda, all aimed directly at the North. Imagine trying to sleep while your neighbor's music rattles your windows all night, except in this case, your neighbor is a hostile regime, and the music is a psychological weapon, echoing across the fields day and night, in a place where the war technically never ended. These loudspeakers were tools of psychological warfare, relics of the Cold War era, switched on and off depending on the ever-changing winds of politics and diplomacy. When tensions spiked, the volume soared, sometimes reaching deafening levels. When relations thawed, the speakers fell silent, as if the peninsula itself was holding its breath. The sound could travel more than 20 kilometers, easily reaching deep into North Korean territory, and making sure that no one living near the border could ever truly escape the relentless noise. For the soldiers stationed nearby, it was a form of mental torture, an endless barrage of sound. For the leaders, it was a way to provoke, to send a message without ever firing a single shot. Over time, the speakers became a kind of barometer for the peninsula's mood, blaring when tensions were high, falling quiet when even a sliver of hope for peace appeared. But now, in 2025, the speakers have finally gone silent for good. The broadcasts have ended, and the border is quieter than it's been in decades. The towers are being dismantled piece by piece, leaving behind an eerie, almost unsettling quiet where there was once constant noise and tension. This isn't just about turning down the volume. It marks a fundamental shift in South Korea's approach to its northern neighbor, a move that could reshape the future of the peninsula. Around the world, people are watching closely, wondering, is this the beginning of real, lasting peace? Or simply the calm before another storm on the Korean peninsula? In Korea, sometimes silence isn't just golden, it's the loudest, most powerful message of all. So, what did these speakers actually broadcast? What kind of messages were powerful enough to be blasted across one of the world's most heavily fortified borders, day and night? South Korea's playlist was a carefully curated mix of real news, global events, and of course, catchy K-pop hits, each chosen to puncture North Korea's tightly controlled information bubble. The broadcasts included everything from upbeat pop songs to reports about international happenings, all intended to show a world beyond the North's borders. The goal was clear: to tempt, inform, and show off a modern, vibrant South Korea. By highlighting freedom, prosperity, and technological advancement, the South hoped to spark curiosity and even envy among Northern listeners. Even weather forecasts were included, offering reliable info the North's regime often withheld. These seemingly mundane updates were actually a lifeline, providing North Koreans with a rare glimpse of unfiltered reality. North Korea's response: pure propaganda, anti-South, anti-American slogans, praise for the Kim dynasty, and revolutionary anthems. Their broadcasts were relentless, filled with fiery rhetoric and warnings about the so-called imperialist threat. Praise for the Kim dynasty, revolutionary anthems. These messages glorified their leaders and called for unwavering loyalty, reinforcing the regime's grip on its people. Their aim wasn't to win over the South, but to drown out the other side and reinforce loyalty among their own troops. It was psychological warfare, a battle of words and music echoing across the border. For civilians near the DMZ, the noise was a constant, stressful reminder of the ever-present threat. The broadcast seeped into daily life, making peace feel distant and fragile. For soldiers, it was psychological attrition, an endless barrage designed to wear them down. The relentless sound tested nerves and morale, turning the border into a place of constant tension. The broadcasts weren't just a nuisance, they shaped the tense, paranoid atmosphere of the border. Every message, every song was a reminder of the unresolved conflict. The speakers were a daily reminder that the war never truly ended. The echoes of the past lingered in every broadcast, keeping old wounds open. Now, with the silence, the psychological landscape is changing. The absence of noise is almost as loud as the broadcasts once were, leaving people to wonder what comes next. But the question remains: what fills the void left by the noise? In this uneasy quiet, new hopes and new anxieties begin to take root, as both sides adjust to a border that suddenly sounds very different. The decision to silence the speakers came from President Lee Jae-myung, who campaigned on engagement with the North. His administration saw the loudspeakers as outdated, provocative relics that did more harm than good. In an age of internet leaks and USB smuggling, blasting K-pop seemed pointless and needlessly antagonistic. The government framed the move as a bold step to reduce tensions and signal goodwill. Images of soldiers dismantling the speakers were broadcast worldwide, a powerful symbol of change. The hope North Korea would notice and respond in kind, but at home critics called it naive, arguing the speakers were a vital tool for reaching North Koreans and pressuring the regime. The debate raged. Was this smart diplomacy, or a risky gamble? For now, Seoul has made the first move, betting that trust building can break the cycle of provocation. Only time will tell if this new tune leads to harmony or discord. North Korea's initial response? Complete silence. No words of thanks, no promises, not even a hint of acknowledgement. It was as if nothing had happened at all, and life in Pyongyang continued with its usual, tightly controlled routine. When North Korean officials finally broke their silence, they didn't express gratitude or optimism. Instead, they spun the move as a victory for their own strength and resilience, not as a gesture of peace or reconciliation from the South. Pyongyang's powerful propaganda machine quickly claimed that the South had essentially surrendered to their might, using the event to reinforce their narrative of dominance and self-reliance. But behind the bluster and bravado, subtle changes began to emerge. North Korea quietly turned down the volume on their own border loudspeakers, though they stopped short of dismantling them entirely. It was a small but telling adjustment. The harsh rhetoric aimed at South Korean President Lee Myung-bak softened just a bit, suggesting that Pyongyang was adopting a cautious wait-and-see approach rather than escalating tensions further. Internationally, the timing was significant. The move came as Russia and North Korea were growing closer, holding high-level meetings and strengthening ties, which only complicated the already tense regional picture. The United States publicly supported Seoul's right to act, but behind the scenes, they urged close coordination. Washington remained wary of giving up leverage without concrete progress on denuclearization, emphasizing the need for unity. For Seoul, this move marked a significant shift, taking the diplomatic lead, even if it meant stepping slightly out of sync with Washington's more cautious approach. It was a bold step, signaling a new willingness to shape the narrative. North Korea, meanwhile, pocketed the concession, offering little in return. Their strategy seemed to be to accept the benefits without making any real commitments. Around the world, governments and analysts watched closely, wondering if this was the beginning of a new chapter on the peninsula, or simply another round of familiar posturing and brinkmanship. For now, the DMZ is noticeably quieter, a rare moment of calm, but beneath the surface, the underlying tensions and mistrust between North and South Korea remain as strong as ever. The next move is Pyongyang's to make. The world waits to see what they will do. Will North Korea answer with genuine dialogue and engagement, or will they respond with new demands and provocations? Only time will tell. If this all sounds familiar, it's because it is. The DMZ speakers have been switched on and off for decades, echoing the ups and downs of inter-Korean relations. In 2004, both sides agreed to silence them, sparking cautious optimism and joint projects. But after North Korean provocations, the noise always returned. The speakers became a pawn, sacrificed for goodwill, revived for retaliation. The 2018 summit brought another pause, but hopes faded and tensions returned. What's different now? President Lee's move is unilateral, a statement, not a transaction. Seoul is betting that acting first without demanding immediate reciprocity can break the cycle of mistrust. It's a bold shift from "I'll do this if you do that" to "we'll do this because it's right." Whether that's wisdom or wishful thinking is the question that hangs over the peninsula. Make no mistake, this is a high-stakes gamble. The biggest risk: North Korea sees the gesture as weakness, not goodwill, and pushes for more. Critics warn that Seoul has given up leverage, inviting new provocations or demands. If Pyongyang responds with a missile test, President Lee could face a political firestorm at home. There's also the risk of straining the US-South Korea alliance, as Washington prefers pressure over unilateral concessions. If the move achieves nothing, South Korea loses a tool for no gain and the border remains tense. The silence could become a symbol of failed diplomacy, not progress. The region's security calculus is delicate. One misstep could have serious consequences. The world is watching to see if this gamble pays off or backfires. For now, the DMZ is quiet, but uncertainty is louder than ever. But what if the gamble succeeds? By removing a constant irritant, South Korea could open the door to real dialogue. The silence might create space for military talks, family reunions, or even high-level diplomacy. Dismantling the speakers also lowers the risk of accidental conflict at the border. It's a concrete step that makes life safer for soldiers and civilians alike. Internationally, Seoul positions itself as a proactive peacemaker, not just a follower of US policy. This could win support from countries that favor engagement over confrontation. Most importantly, it tests a new approach, trust building, instead of endless pressure. Even if it doesn't yield immediate results, it changes the dynamic and forces everyone to rethink their next move. Sometimes, trying something new is the boldest step of all. The DMZ's silence ripples far beyond Korea. The US is watching closely, wary that Seoul's move could weaken the pressure campaign on Pyongyang. China, meanwhile, welcomes the de-escalation, seeing it as a step toward stability on its border. Beijing may use this to push Washington for more flexibility. Russia, now closer to North Korea than ever, sees the move as a chance to undermine US influence in Asia. Moscow will likely encourage Pyongyang to hold out for more concessions. Japan, another key US ally, remains skeptical, fearing that engagement rewards North Korea without real progress on denuclearization or abductions. Every major power in the region is recalibrating its strategy. The removal of the speakers is more than a Korean issue. It's a move that shifts the entire regional chessboard. The stakes are global, not just local. What happens next will shape the future of Northeast Asia. The world is listening, even in the quiet. The speakers are down, and the DMZ is quiet, but uncertainty reigns. Will North Korea respond with dialogue or with new provocations? The next months are critical, as the world watches for signs of real change. The US-South Korea alliance faces a test. Can Seoul lead on diplomacy without fracturing its partnership with Washington? The ultimate goal, denuclearization, may be slipping away, replaced by hopes for arms control and peaceful coexistence. The dismantling of the speakers is a powerful symbol, a choice to try something new. It could be a turning point or just another pause before the noise returns. For now, all we can do is listen and wait.